In this video, we're going to be looking at 13 of the best smart delivery games on Xbox that show off the power of the Series X and S using the games you already own. Today's video is brought to you by Back 4 Blood, the highly anticipated first-person co-op shooter by the makers of Left 4 Dead. Fight your way through a dynamic, perilous world with up to 3 friends, or go solo and lead your team into battle against the Ridden later this year on Xbox. Now, let's kick things off with a series whose cartoon antics have been brightening up our lives, well, pretty much since the 90s.
Now, Crash Bandicoot might be an old school icon, but he knows exactly how to change with the times. We'd already seen slick remasters of his classic appearances in Crash Team Racing, Nitro Fueled, and the Insane Trilogy, but the arrival of a long-awaited 4th game really kicked things up a level. His 4th outing sees the Bandicoot with the bright blue shorts jumping between dimensions on a quest to stop the evil Uka Uka from tearing apart the fabric of space and time. Which is kind of a big ask for a marsupial whose only superpowers are a spin attack and some serious eyebrow game. Fortunately, he has help from the all-powerful quantum masks, unlocking some seriously wild new time-altering powers for him to play with. The whole thing is pure sugar high, Saturday morning cartoon nonsense in the best possible way, and it pops more than ever on the Series X and S thanks to a lush 4K resolution. Wumpa Fruit got an upgrade, and it's never looked so tasty.
Up next, another game with a very vibrant art style and a decidedly loose grip on reality, Borderlands 3 is a great way to put your new machine through its paces. Its cel-shaded apocalypse comes to life in all its dusty, blood-stained glory in 4K, whether you're playing solo or jumping online. One of the big draws for Borderlands 3 is the truly unfathomable number of guns it boasts, and that added visual polish really helps you pick out the finer details on each model. Ideal for players that like to get a little bit picky about their firearms. Plus, next-gen players can also take advantage of a couch co-op mode that lets them tag in up to 3 friends on the same system, meaning you can share some tasty snacks as well as some good gaming times together. Aww.
Also benefiting massively from the resolution boost is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Its neon-soaked underworld is a sight to behold in 4K, with every street sign and flamboyant fashion choice really bursting off the screen. And it looks especially great during the game's more fantastical moments, like when a character bursts into flames to express how incredibly done with the current situation they are. Like a Dragon starts off with a whole new chapter for the series, with a brand new lead character and a turn-based battle system replacing the classic brawler style. Newcomers to the series or fans who are feeling nostalgic can also play through all the previous entries using Xbox Game Pass. But if you're looking for the most stylish gangster this side of Shibuya, Like a Dragon is the way to go, and smart delivery might just be a great excuse to revisit it.
Set in a world where humanity has been driven underground by nuclear catastrophe, Metro Exodus is a game where you spent a lot of time rooting around in the dark, desperately hoping that nothing comes charging out of it. As a result, you come to really appreciate every stray light beam and flickering lamp, with Metro Exodus's pioneering emissive lighting effects adding a degree of atmosphere and immersion which made it almost too real. But that is nothing compared to the eerie thrills of the Enhanced Edition, which brings you a fully light-traced experience to elegantly illuminate every scurrying rat and sewer mutant that you meet along the way. It will also boast a beautiful 4K 60 display on the Series X, plus spatial audio improvements to make it as unsettling for your ears as it is eerily beautiful for your eyes.
Have you ever watched someone get chopped in half and said, "Man, I wish I could make out more of the details on those bloody entrails"? Well then, you're a very frightening person, but you're also definitely the target audience for Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. The legendary arcade fighting series returns for another round of unnecessary, violent martial arts action, as a host of mystical ninjas, multi-armed monsters, and other oddball characters duke it out for Mortal Kombat supremacy. Whether you've just got into the series thanks to the latest movie adaptation, or you've been yelling "finish him" for decades, this entry brings arcade gaming into a brand new generation, courtesy of smart delivery. The victories look more flawless than ever before thanks to a 4K resolution that turns every decapitation, bisection, and bludgeoning into its own work of grisly red art.
Sticking with the gruesome next, Dead by Daylight is great if you prefer to have your nerves shredded as a group rather than rolling solo. And Game Pass members can get themselves gruesomely murdered without spending an extra penny, wahey! This asymmetric multiplayer has one of you taking control of a slasher movie style big bad, while the others play as their potential victims. Simple, right? As well as a whole host of original villains, the game regularly features cameos from across the entire horror sphere, including Silent Hill, Stranger Things, and most recently, Resident Evil. When every task you're completing is a literal life or death matter, every second counts. So the 60 frames per second frame rate on the Series X and S can quite literally be a lifesaver.
The racetrack is another place where every frame matters, especially on the rocky terrain you'll encounter in Dirt 5. Between its deadly courses and dynamic weather effects, this is a game where you'll need to drive with absolute precision if you don't want to end up on the scrap heap. Fortunately, the next-gen version of Dirt 5 puts even more power under the hood to help you get there. And it's up to you exactly how you tinker with the game's engine. The image quality mode is ideal if you really want to take in the finer points of the scenery as you fly past them, while the frame rate option is ideal if you want the smoothest ride possible. On the Series X and S, it has the horsepower to reach 120 frames per second, a truly grease lightning level of slickness. And Game Pass members won't even have to pay an extra penny to start burning rubber.
If you love some four-wheeled action but are less of a stickler for realism, let's say, Rocket League might be a better way to go for you. Combining arcade football with rocket-powered cars is both a hilarious party game and a deceptively deep sport in its own right that looks great on the Xbox One or the newer generation machines. Since it's free to play, it's well worth a try even if you just want to roam around smashing into people like a turbocharged Roy Keane. But if you do find yourself developing an appreciation for the game's finer points, you'll also really appreciate the 120 frames per second frame rate on the Series X and S. When you're looking for that last second winner, the difference between heartache and glory can be measured by the millimeter. So having a higher frame rate could be your road to Rocket League superstardom. But even if you don't ever make it to the top, you can still enjoy the game's constant supply of shiny new content, like the luxurious Lamborghini Huracan STO, which makes sure that even if you lose, you'll be losing with style, my dudes.
Speaking of well-supported free-to-play games, Smart Delivery also makes it easy for Fortnite players to seamlessly step into the next console generation to enjoy the sleekest version of the game on the market, with all of your progress going with you. Thanks to its 120 FPS mode, Series X and S players can enjoy the deadly precision that comes with a silky smooth frame rate. So the good news is that you'll never lose out due to a stuttering frame rate ever again. The bad news is that when you do lose, you'll kind of have to admit that the other player was just better than you. Though you could always accuse them of cheating. I mean, they were playing as Rick Sanchez after all, and he plays by his own rules.
We are massive fans of sci-fi warfare here at Xbox On. Big robots busting each other up, folks getting hit with lasers, crazy elaborate weapons. It's all good stuff around here. And is even better when it's displayed with the pristine 4K 60 display of Warframe on Series X and S. This long-running multiplayer game has constantly found ways to evolve, just like the Tenno themselves really, taking advantage of every new technological advance to become even more impressive. As well as the glorious new visuals which have the Tenno's armor positively shimmering, Warframe now also boasts load times that are up to 4 times faster if you make the jump to next gen with Smart Delivery. Because, you know, these guys don't like to wait around. They're far too shiny and important for that nonsense.
Optimizing a game that has already been remastered could be like putting a hat on a hat. But fortunately, Saints Row the Third has absolutely no qualms about that kind of sartorial excess. Whether you want to rock a purple fur coat or nothing but your underwear and a cowboy hat, this off-the-rails sandbox is all about letting your freak flag fly. And no matter how questionable your choices are, you'll still kinda look good thanks to the game's 4K resolution and 60 FPS frame rate, which keeps things looking smooth even when things are getting wild. Like when zombies are attacking, or when you have to chainsaw your way through a crowd of luchadors, or to be honest, just about any point in the entire game.
Humor Fall Flat is amazing because it's basically broken. It's a physics-based puzzle platformer where your character moves with the coordination of a flailing cheese string and tumbles like a sack of potatoes. Just getting them to do basic fundamental platforming things like pulling themselves up from a ledge is like solving a complex mathematical theorem backwards while using marzipan. But at least now your trips, slips, and crushing failures can be imbued with the dignity of a next-gen upgrade, free of charge, courtesy of Smart Delivery, which has your doughy hero looking their Sunday best while they totter hopelessly around the screen. Those who bought the game previously can now upgrade for free, while Game Pass subscribers can grab the right version of the game for whatever Xbox generation they're rocking at no extra cost.
We'll finish up with an iconic shooter that's never looked better. Gears 5. Of course, it still looks like a war-torn hellscape littered with the bodies of your fallen comrades and overrun with a horde of rampaging monsters, but it is easily the prettiest possible version of that scenario thanks to its gorgeous 4K resolution. And when you're pinned down by locusts with only a few bullets left, you need to make every shot count. So the game's ramped up frame rate, which runs as high as 120 FPS in some modes, is an absolute godsend in the heat of battle. It even manages to maintain these standards in the online multiplayer, so you'll be able to chainsaw your friends with total accuracy, which is a good thing, I suppose.
Thanks to Smart Delivery, you are always guaranteed to have access to the best version of these titles that your console can play. And there are many more beyond the ones we've even picked today, like the upcoming Back 4 Blood, available on October 12th. Want to know more about it? Check this out then.
Survive is not enough. We've got to fight. Let's go.
You're here. Come on.
I never learned from my mistakes.
Need help here.
They're here.
Thanks so much for watching the video. Be sure to let us know down in the comments which Smart Delivery games you've been taking advantage of. And you know what? Feel free to leave us a like. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.